Can't catch a break sometimes. Um, can't catch a break sometimes. Um, it is March the 12th at 10:34. And I'm going to record about my week. I've had a very, very interesting week. Although it's been cold as hell here in Texas. I'm feeling like I'm catching a cold. You know, the thing about it though is that all symptoms that seem to be a cold is just automatically looked at as COVID. I know it is for me. It's just a huge scare because I've already had COVID. So the least little inkling of anything is a pretty big scare for me, anyways. So I've got a cold. And I'm still pushing on, pushing through, still doing lives, even though my eyes are just like watering, like I'm crying. Nose has been running, that thing. What I want to talk to you guys about tonight, though, it's a little shy of the puppies. Um, More personal than anything. I want to talk to you guys about chances. Like, how many times do you give a person a chance? The same person, that is. Like, how many times do you allow them chances in your life? How many times do you allow that time? Um, and how do you know when to say when? You know, I think a lot of times when we go through things in life, we're always really quick to judge other people. Girl, if it was me, I wouldn't do this. If it was me, I wouldn't do that. And you should do this and you should do that. And we're always on the outside looking in. And I can attest to that myself. But when it's you, it's a different story. I want to know, how do you know when to say when? Like, what does a person have to do to convince you that they're never going to be capable of being the person you need them to be to you? Do you spend the rest of your life trying to make it work? How do you, and then the other question is then how do you know that you've made a good choice to stay in a situation that might be damaging, to you or your life? When do you know when is, you know? Um, I think a lot of times in our relationships, we're hesitant to move on. We're hesitant to move on. We want, our situations to work despite all the signs, despite all the warning signs, despite all the turmoil that we may go through. And then we start making excuses. Well, I've got these kids. Well, I've got this business. Well. And some people, I'm not crying, y'all. I've got something going on, where my eyes are just watering like continuously, and I've got a cold. I did do a at-home COVID test yesterday. Came out negative, but I might need to go get one from the doctor. I've already had COVID like not less than 3 months ago, so I don't know what that means anything. But anyways, I want to know in a relationship, how do you know when you should cut it off? And how many chances do you give that same person in this relationship? Like I have looked through and been searching for healing, even for myself, for a long, long time. Because sometimes we can suffer from narcissistic abuse when, those are people that are like sociopaths. They love you. They're going to do better. They use the words that most of us always want to hear, um, and they prey on what our weaknesses are. So they're really good. Whereas a lot of times we have trouble telling someone we love them, and it's not true. We have trouble using that word fluently, like it's high and by. It's not something that we do. So when we get some of these gaslighters in our lives who say all the right things, or continuously tell us that they care about us, but then they treat us completely different, how do we know the sincerity of that is what I want to know. I want to know from other people, because like I said, a lot of times we're so quick to judge other people until we have gone through the situation ourselves. We're really quick to judge other people. Um, and I think a lot of times we believe what we believe because it's what we want to believe. Doesn't always make it true. I wanted to get, it's late night, y'all. I wanted to get other people's perspective on how do you know? Like, how do you know when you should just walk away from a relationship and let it go? Because let me tell you something. The thing about a narcissist is they are very cunning, very clever most of the time at making you feel sorry for them, and then you just kind of go through this repeat cycle, this revolving door of the same shit, different day, same shit, different day, same shit, different day. So when do you, and then the thing is that most of the time to get away from those devastating relationships, you just got to cut it. There's no talking a little bit. There's no friends. There's nothing. You just got to let it go. You just got to let it go, because they get into your mind, and even when you're strong and you think and you feel like, I got this, that ain't never gonna happen again, I don't ever want to see this person, or whatever the case may be. Even when you get to that point, they can somehow still reel you back in, and it's bullshit sometimes. I just want to know, how many chances do you give that same person that has already shown you and proven to you who they are, and not so much as who they are, but what they're about? When do you say when? When do you go and not look back? I think the biggest fear a lot of times is we don't want to leave one situation, or one devastating situation, or one difficult situation, and only to learn that, or find ourselves in another similar situation. We're like, well, shit, we could stay where we were. If I was gonna go through this, so that fear of attracting and going through the same thing, I think, is what kind of keeps us where we are, because we're comfortable being comfortable, even though we're uncomfortable. And I believe that goes without being said. I could be wrong. I don't know if it has anything to do with, a level of income or anything like that. I think that more people than not will admit that it is a similar situation for all, that we all take more than we should from anybody, whether it is a personal relationship, whether it's a family relationship. I think that we all sometimes take more than what we should allow at some given point in time in our lives. I don't think that it is something that a lot of people will spend the rest of their lives going through, But why is it so hard to let go when you know, and when you've seen the signs, and when not only have you seen the signs, but that person has proven to you time and time and time again that it's not about if, but it's about when. When that opportunity arises, whatever you've gone through, it's going to, you're going to go through it again. When do you know that a person is still the way that they used to be versus having made the change that they try to convince you that they've made? How do you know? And I'm asking this because a lot of people, I know that this is social media, a lot of people will say things. I was one of them. But then when you're in that situation, it's not so easy. It's not so easy. You know, I speak to my subject, whether it is work, working relationship. It doesn't always have to be a spouse or a husband or a wife. It doesn't always have to be that. It could even be, your children. Like, my belief and my philosophy is this: you only have one life to live, meaning you only have one time to get it right. If that time to get it right and that one life to live is consumed with people who are unappreciative, with people who mean you no good, with people who are takers versus givers, your whole life is consumed, and your time, which you can never get back, which you can never get back. It's consumed with someone who has decades of broken promises. And then before you look back, before you know it, you, you've spent years, decades, time to be in the same place and in the same situation as you were before, if not worse. Because now you've got a longer time of resentment and regret, whereas you could have let it go a long time ago. And you would still be hurt, you'd still have to heal, but you wouldn't have a decade or decades of misery behind it. Because what people don't understand is that, again, no matter how strong willed we are, we can be damaged, we can be hurt, you're still human. And that's what people don't understand. It doesn't matter how much money you got. It don't matter what your title is in life. Your belief system, your values, in your mind outweighs any of that. All of that, to be exact. All of that. One does not follow the other. So without that, your money don't mean anything. You often have to ask yourself, am I well off because I consume myself with work and I'm an overachiever because I'm covering up my pain? So that means that you could be well off, you could have money and still be so broken inside. So you're broke at the bank and you're broken. Or you're not broke at the bank, but that don't mean anything because you are still broken. When is enough? That's my question. When's enough? How do you know when you've had enough? How do you know in a relationship when a person is really, really, really changed versus one that only changes the game? How do you know that? How much time do you give that same person who's proven to you that they're not worthy, that they can't even respect themselves? So how are they going to respect you? How much time do you give that same person? When do you say when? We're talking about relationships. A lot of this, it can be um, related to me, or maybe some of my earlier days. But sometimes I just sit back and I think, and it's like, gosh, how many of those relationships did I stay in that I should have left a long time ago because they didn't get any better over time? They got worse. How many years in that relationship am I missing, or did I forfeit staying at the wrong place at the wrong time, knowing and ignoring all the warning signs and all the signs, period? Because let me tell you something, most of the time, these people, they're not so slick to where you can't figure it out. Again, you don't want to. So you start convincing yourself. They're preying off what you want. You don't want a broken family. Guess what? You already had kids. You're covering up a void. Guess what? And then you find yourself jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. And it doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any better. So anyway, that's my late night. I keep saying I'm going to bed, but I'm not tired. Um, Doing my laundry. The dogs are relaxing, so I can kind of take a break, get myself tired so that I can sleep once I do go to bed. I've been doing a few things, practicing for one, doing dry runs on these lives in between, working with the dogs, learning to use my equipment and different things like that. And yeah, so, anyways, my Breeder's Life Music and Me is an upcoming podcast. And we are founders and owners of Yorkies of Austin and Frenchies of Austin, out of Austin, Texas. We have developed a course called How to Make Six Figures Using Your Dog's DNA, which is a really super dope course. I did research before I started it. There isn't another breeder course out there. So I'm really, really excited about it and hoping to do very well, and helping to put the platform together to educate, new breeders. I feel like sometimes we get a bad rep when it's really about the lack thereof of education and then other people's opinion. And you can't spend time arguing people's opinion where they'll say, well, you know what? They don't shop. Go to the shelters and buy. Well, we all know that those dogs are at shelters for a reason. We also know that it should be a choice in a person's life, whether they want to either raise a puppy, that's a baby that they bond with, versus taking on a puppy that's in a shelter that may have been abused, that may suffer from psychological issues, or sometimes they're there because they've already had um, negative impacts in their life, and they're taken to the shelter. So I think that it's a choice. But anyways, back to the subject at hand. My objective with the course is to educate um, the new breeders and to educate puppy lovers that have these dogs, right? Um, there's a couple bonus courses in there as well. One of them is a business plan. It's a dog breeding business plan, but you can really use it for whatever you want. Um, I'm so sorry. There's a funding module in there, how to secure funding for your business. Again, it's shaped around breeding, but if you have a business, the lenders are the same. So that doesn't change either. Then we have a dog training module in there that's interactive, and it has clickable PDFs and links in there. Then what else do we have? We've got the charts, the DNA charts of how to read the DNA, as well as as well as clickable videos in there too. So you guys, I've had this course done a couple of times, and I just wasn't satisfied. So I never really launched it, but this one's gonna launch. This one's gonna launch. I'm trying to shoot for the 17th deadline. I don't know if I'll make it, but it's pretty much almost complete. So if I don't make the 17th, I'll push it back, maybe a week or so, but we're definitely going to get this one launched this time. That's for sure. That is for sure. So it's going to be called How to Make Six Figures with Your Dog's DNA. And today in the world in the Frenchie game, that could be a true statement. It is a true statement. So I am excited about that. I know it doesn't seem like it. It's just because I'm just in, like I said, my face and my eyes are draining, and I'm stopped up a little bit. But I'll do a retake. Like I said, I'm up late night just hanging out with myself and recording live. But I am going to sign off here. Say goodnight. I practicing a new software. So I am as I am. Dirty clothes and all. It's about as original as I can get, y'all. All right. Go follow Yorkies of Austin. Go follow my Breeders' Life Music and me. And go follow Frenchies of Austin. Until next time, we will see you guys soon.